Well, hello, everybody. I hope today you have received the favor of God. I hope you sense God's working behind the scene to do something amazing for you. I want to take a moment and just declare that before the week is out, God is going to show his hand. It's going to be strong and mighty on your life. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight for Bible study. I've been waiting on you all day. I've been waiting. She got off work, picked up the kids, ran home, relaxed a little while. Now it's time to receive the word of God. But I want you to engage starting now for this service and every service afterwards. I want to engage more with my cyber church and those of you who are connected through these social media platforms. What does that mean? That means I want you to send some hearts. I want you to hit the like button. I want you to comment. I want you to interact, even with other members, others of your brothers and sisters from around the world who are watching with you on tonight. It's going because we're building this cyber community, and I want us to have a bond that grows stronger and stronger each and every week. Well, we're getting ready to go into the Word of God. Get your paper, your pen out, get ready to receive what God has for you tonight. I'll see you in a little while. Now, in today's session, I want to talk about something that I think is quite significant and I think is very pertinent to each and every individual who's watching me right now, who will watch me whenever it is that you watch me. And it has to do with processing or dealing with the emotional backlash of failure. That's right. For many of us, it's a scary word. We shriek every time we hear it because of the experiences all of us have had with failure. But failure leaves in its aftermath some very difficult emotions to process. And often we struggle because we replay over and over and over and over in our mind those instances in which we have failed. But I think it's significant to learn and understand how to properly put into perspective the pain that failure leaves even in its aftermath. I want to use as a backdrop a proverb that is very, very significant and very relevant to this particular session. In Proverbs 24:6, it says, "For a just man falls 7 times, and he rises again." It's quite clear from this proverb that, ladies and gentlemen, that failure is an inevitable part of each and every one of our lives. As much as we like to deny it, as much as we detest failure, it is an inevitable part of each and every person's life. And the reality of the matter is, when you look back over your life and you look over the courses of your life, in parallel with this particular proverb, you probably would have to admit that you have fallen or failed more times than you have succeeded. And if that is the case, and I know it is, then you are in great company. Because no one I know who's ascended to any place of greatness or who's ever done anything of an extraordinary nature has had in the history of their becoming more successes than they have failures. We've all looked back over our life and can relate and parallel our lives to the fact that we've failed or fallen more times than we have succeeded. But it is all about perspective. Most people have a tendency when they experience failure to retreat or abandon the notion that this is something they should be doing or something they could do. Because for some, failure is the telltale sign that says, I should ditch this ambition and never entertain this as something, as a possibility for me. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, failure is not falling down, but rather it's refusing to get up. You're not a failure when you fall down. It's about, again, perspective. It's about what you gain, what you glean from that fallen experience, that failure in whatever area of your life, relationally, business wise, whatever area you have experienced that failure in. Failure is not simply falling down, it is refusing to get up. Now, it's not that you can't get up, but as you land on the mat after taking so many punches, after absorbing and enduring so many hits, you said, you know what? I'm refusing to get up. I no longer choose to engage in what is necessary or required in order to experience the level of success I want. So I'm just going to take my losses and I'm going to refuse to get up. Because nobody knows more than me. I'm telling you, failure without question can be traumatizing. Not only can it be traumatizing, but it can be paralyzing. It paralyzes your efforts. It paralyzes your future attempts at trying. When you're trying, there's nothing as frustrating that when you're trying and giving everything you got, but life just won't budge. No matter how much energy, no matter how much effort you exhaust, it seems like life will not budge for you. But ladies and gentlemen, you have to muster up every bit of fervor, of drive, of zeal, of ambition that you can to always be in a posture of your life where you are willing to give it another go. Because, ladies and gentlemen, what I know for absolute certainty is that you must fear regret more than you fear failure. Now, I'm going to let that sink in for a moment because I need each and every one of you to get it, to grasp it, to wrap your mind around it, to cause it to be your mantra as a source of motivation, that you must fear regret more than you fear failure. Because here's the reality. At the end of your life, what do you think you will feel worse about? Failing or never trying? I can't tell you how many people that I've seen get to the end of their life and they generally begin to communicate and articulate what they wish they would have tried, what they wish they had been daring enough to attempt, what they wish they would have gone against the grain and did in spite of the criticism of people who were not willing to do the same. And so, ladies and gentlemen, there are, in all of our lives, there's some degree of fear that must be managed, that must be suppressed if we are going to progress in life and get to the pinnacle and the place of success that we ultimately want ourselves to be. Because what I want to tell you is that the grips of failure usually capitalizes on our habits of comparing ourselves to other people. Now, that is very important because you are looking around at your friends, your relatives, your coworkers, your peers. They seem to be excelling in an area that it feels like you're in neutral. They seem to be in possession of possessions that you want, and you're trying to figure out, why don't I have this? You're looking at their homes, their cars, their salaries, their statuses in life. And when you base your worth on other people's positioning in life, then you're always going to feel very miserable because you are stuck in the cycle of comparison. You're comparing who you are to someone else and what you should have based on what other people have. And maybe that's the problem. The reason you can feel like a failure is because your focus is solely centralized on other people's accomplishments, what other people are doing, what they are achieving, what they are acquiring, and it makes you feel like you're unaccomplished. It makes you feel like you have failed in life because of what someone else has and what someone else is doing. Now, it complicates the matter more when it's perhaps a peer, somebody your same age, somebody who has the same degree of education, somebody who's been exposed to what you're exposed to, and it seems like they're skyrocketing, and it seems like you're grounded in a place that is not ideal for you, nor is it a place that you intended that you would find yourself in. But the moment you stop comparing yourself and your life and your status and your stuff to what other people have, you're going to get to a place in life where you realize that sometimes you feel like a failure because your focus is distorted. Failure sometimes is a result of misplaced focus. You're focusing on other people's elevation, their promotion, what they have achieved, and you have no clue of what it took for them to get it, what it cost them, at what price did them getting here cost them. And so you're frustrated internally and you're feeling like a failure simply because you have this misplaced focus. If you would ever begin to tune into who you are, what you have to contribute, what you have to give, and decide, I'm no longer going to play the sidelines of life and feel like a failure. At this juncture, you have to make a move. Yes, you, sir, ma'am, I'm talking to you. You have to make the move right now if you're ever going to reposition your life to a place and a space where you're not getting up every day simply feeling like you are failing in life. Because here's the breaking news. Every person you see that's successful, that's thriving, that's doing something noteworthy, believe me, they have failed more times than they care to admit to anybody. Let me go on record and tell you now, I have failed more times than I care to admit to anybody. Sure, we like to highlight our successes and what we accomplish and what we achieve, but we want to push to the background. We don't want you to know how often we fail, how often we've bombed, we've crashed and burned very miserably. But the reality of it is impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all. And in that case, you fail by default. Now, hear me. I would much rather fail by trying than fail by default. Means I'm not attempting anything. I'm not trying to accomplish anything. I'm just in a pitiful place. I have lost my fervor and my drive and my ambition for life. And I just lay over and I lose in life and I miss out on winning opportunities because I'm so afraid of failing that I actually ultimately fail by default. Now, this is critical because, ladies and gentlemen, every time you and I fall short of achieving our goal, you've probably noticed by now that there is this mental stupor that we generally sink into, and that is because we fall into a place of being overly self-critical. And the moment you become overly self-critical, it's difficult, if not impossible, to let go of all the negativity, which ultimately tends to drain your motivation. That whenever you set out something, you got a plan sketched out and drawn up, you got a plan of action that you're pretty sure is going to amount to some measure of success. And then when it doesn't, there is this internal self-critic. We become incredibly critical of ourselves. And we develop this negative perception of ourselves. And ladies and gentlemen, whenever you have a negative self-perception, whenever you are faced with challenges or difficulties or obstacles that you didn't expect to have to encounter, then it begins to affect your internal language. And you start saying things like, well, I must not be good enough. I'm a failure. I've never been good at anything anyway. And maybe they were right. I don't have any business trying to do something like this. I'm a failure. But have you ever wondered to yourself, why is it that some people can navigate through failure and even use their failure as some fuel to create a pathway to their life's goals, their motivations, their ambitions, and their wildest imaginations, while other people give up on their dreams and even on themselves? The reality is failure is inevitable. A just man falls 7 times. You're going to fall, but you will get up again. But your getting up again is predicated on you, on how badly do you want it, how much of what you've imagined in your head, in your heart, in your spirit, do you really want for yourself? That you find yourself in this place where you have to decide, am I going to let failure derail me, or am I going to use it to educate me so that I make a better go of it the next time around? Because it's very easy. I can't tell you how often I've experienced failure and my first instinct was to throw my hands up, walk away for it, wash my hands with the whole notion of it. And it's appealing to go back to the familiar rather than risk forging ahead, chasing after a future that may or may not come. And my belief has been a little warped because I've experienced some failure. So now I'm not even sure that this future is really going to come to pass. But I want to tell you that you have to allow the failures you've experienced in your life to become the fuel to forge ahead to your future. I can't tell you how many times I would have given up if I just didn't make up my mind I wasn't going to let failure have the last word. I would have walked away, but I felt like I was cheating myself because I invested so much time. And I decided that if I put a little more effort in, if I educate myself a little more, if I get around the right environment, create the right atmosphere for me to succeed and achieve, then I'm going to do it. But sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, you must be careful before you throw your hands up and walk away and decide that you cannot do it, that you use the failure as fuel. People tell me I can't do something, I do it at a greater magnitude. People tell me what I can't have, I'll come back with it in 3 different colors. Because it's the failure, the backlash of failure emotionally is predicated on how you process it, right? Am I going to allow it to be the fuel, or am I going to allow it to feed my frustration and further embellish my own negative perception of myself and say, I didn't have no business trying that anyway. I knew it wasn't going to work. I don't know why I went in that building and tried to interview for that job. I knew they weren't going to hire me. Because when you experience failure to any degree, it will warp your perception and your expectation of anything better happening and unfolding for you in your future. But I want to tell you today that you are far from through. And I want you to get that in your head, your mind, your heart, and your spirit, that you are absolutely far from through. It is far from over for you. You just have to redirect your focus. Stop comparing to other people. And I want you to focus in intently on what it is you've been gifted to do, called to do, and what you have the skill set and the mindset and the intelligence to accomplish in your life. Failure does not define you. It comes down to how you think of failure and how you approach every setback in your life. Hear me when I tell you this. Success or failure is caused more by mental attitude than by mental capacity. Now let that sink in for a moment. Success or failure is caused more by mental attitude than by mental capacity. Intelligence is less of a determining factor in success than determination or optimism. So it doesn't matter your mental capacity as much as your mental attitude does. You got to get up every day with an attitude that says, I may be knocked down, but I'm not knocked out. I might have taken a hit. I might have experienced a setback. I certainly didn't have any plans on experiencing, but that is not going to detour me, derail me, or discourage me from doing what I know I am fully capable of doing. The truth is, anyone who's ever succeeded, and I want to reiterate this in your mind, that anyone who's ever succeeded at anything has failed along the way. Now, the problem is, generally when we fail in some area of our lives, we spend so much time harping on the negative aspect of the failure instead of understanding that the more we do that, we just keep reliving the moments of defeat, and we are developing unhealthy attachments to an idea of who and what we want to be. Let me give you that again. Sometimes when we fail, we start talking about, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not resilient enough. But you spend the majority of your time embellishing or highlighting your weaknesses rather than focusing in on your strengths and learning how to capitalize on them so that the next time around, victory is inevitable for you. But you got to be careful, because when you go through failure, again, it's your language. You start saying things like, maybe my best isn't good enough. Maybe this wasn't for me. And counterintuitively, instead of doing anything to remedy or rectify your situation, you end up, hear me, demotivating yourself. Because let me tell you, what you say to yourself has greater bearing than what anybody else says. Oh, sure, what people say about you has weight. And sometimes people have said some things to me that's made me question everything I thought I knew about me. I've had people say something, and I said, well, maybe, you know what? Maybe they're on to something. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe my expectations are a little lofty. Maybe I'm shooting too high. And once you allow other people's opinion of you to become your opinion of yourself, you'll very quickly begin to be demotivating to yourself, right? And you'll sink into this place of inactivity when you should be using this moment to find another source of internal motivation. Not just quit so easily, not just walk away because one or two people told you no. For every one or two people that tell you no, there's 10,000 ready to tell you yes. If you ever convince yourself that you deserve this shot, that you do have enough of what it takes, that you are smart enough, but you'll never get there as long as you're letting your inner critic have the last word upon your life.
Well, beloved, this is our global giving experience, and boy, am I excited about it. When you're a child of God and you walk by faith, you not only get excited about receiving, but you get very excited about any opportunity God presents to you to be a giver and to sow. I tell people all the time, I don't make a living by what I get. I make a living by what I give. I create the life I want by being a giver. For it is more blessed to give than it is to receive. And as we're preparing today globally to honor the Lord in our giving with our substance, I want to challenge every one of you that are watching me today. I want you to prepare what we call here at our ministry our corporate seed offering. That's a $42 seed. And I want you to plant it in the ground by faith. It's a seed that expedites return. It's a seed of double. It's a seed of replenishment of all those things you lost, according to the 42nd chapter of Job. So I want all of you to covenant with me today. I want you to partner with me while you're watching this, or those who are watching the replay, or whenever you would watch this. I want you to release by faith a $42 seed offering today and watch how God miraculously blesses you. Well, Bishop, if I don't have that $42, does that exclude me from the giving process? Absolutely not. Get that out of your head. It's for those that would hear, that could respond and obey that. But if you say, Pastor, I don't have that seed, but I have a seed that I want to put in the ground. I want to challenge you to get the very best seed that you have on this day. And I want you to present it unto the Lord, and you're going to see the blessings of heaven overwhelm you like never before. The giving means are right here at the bottom of the screen. Find one that's most convenient for you, and I want you to choose that one, and I want you to give it by faith. I want you to thank God in advance for the harvest that's coming your way. If you choose not to give electronically, there's a mailing address right at the bottom of your screen as well. Get a stamp, a money order, cashier's check. Put it in there. We're going to pray over it, receive it, and pronounce heaven's blessed over your life. You can't be God giving no matter how hard you try. Keep on giving. Heaven's ready to give unto you.
Family, didn't we enjoy the presence of God on today? I know service was just amazing. I know you felt the presence of the Lord right there, wherever you're watching us from. Right now, it's giving time, and we want to make sure that we sow into the man of God's life. He's been delivering a powerful word to uplift us and teach us and to encourage us, strengthen our faith. And now is your opportunity to participate in sowing a seed into the man of God's life. So easy to do. You can go to his personal cash app at $Henry W. Bolden 3. Yeah, that's right, $Henry W. Bolden 3. Or you can go to his personal website at henrybolden.com. Go ahead, sow a good seed into the man of God's life. God bless you.
Well, my brother, my sister, I hope that you have enjoyed the Lord on this day. I hope you have enjoyed receiving the word as much as I have enjoyed teaching and releasing this word to you. Let me say a thank you to all of you who spend your Wednesday with me. Thank you. Those of you who take part of your lunch break, those of you who take some of your break, and those of you who even pull over the car and watch this Bible study. I want you to know I am incredibly grateful for your support and your commitment to this ministry. Don't forget, if you have not, please make sure you are connecting with us on all of our social media platforms. Don't forget, make sure you go to all of my social media platforms at Henry Bolden, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and I want you to subscribe and I want you to like. Thank you so much for all of your comments on this day. Please know that I'm going to get to look at each and every one of them, and I'm going to respond to them. Those of you who have questions or any prayer requests, all of those things, I want you to send it to me. I want you to know that you and I are bonded together. We are connected. I love my cyber church family, and I pray for you on a daily basis. Well, I'm out of time for now, but as always, in part, and always remember that things can change for you at any moment. I'll see you next week.